Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, so let's jump right into a really sudden announcement from a major airline that left a whole lot of travelers scratching their heads and asking one simple question.
Right. What's the deal here? This is the mystery we're unpacking today. We're focusing on Air India's decision to temporarily, and that's a key word, temporarily, suspend its direct flights between Delhi and Washington, D.C., a move that really seemed to come out of the blue.
And you know how it is. The airline's official reason was, well, it was super brief and full of that corporate jargon we all love, right? They just cited a combination of operational factors.
So what on earth does a vague phrase like operational factors actually mean in the airline world? Well, it turns out it's a catch-all term that can hide some very real and very interesting challenges.
Yeah, it's one of those super vague phrases. But in this specific case, it's actually hiding two very specific and pretty significant issues that basically forced Air India's hand. And it really boils down to these two key drivers. You've got this massive, planned ambition for the future, and it's colliding head-on with a really persistent, really complex problem happening right now.
So let's dig into that first reason, this really ambitious internal project that Air India has kicked off. And it all starts with one pretty big number.
That number is 26. Air India is literally pulling 26 of its wide-body 787 Dreamliners out of service. Why? For a massive upgrade to its cabins. Now, that is a fantastic long-term move for customers, for sure. But in the short term, it creates a huge problem, a planned shortage of aircraft.
And listen, this isn't a quick fix over a long weekend. The whole program is expected to last until at least the end of 2026. Think about that. That means the airline will be operating with fewer planes for a really significant amount of time.
Okay, so you've got this aircraft shortage. Now let's add another major factor, an external one that the airline has zero control over, the ongoing closure of airspace over Pakistan. This forces flights heading west to take longer, more complex routes that just burn way more fuel. So you see the problem, right? You have fewer planes to begin with, and the planes you do have are now tied up for longer on each flight. It's a perfect storm.
So when you're caught in a squeeze like that, fewer planes, more complicated routes, you've got to make some really tough calls. And the big question becomes, why DC? Of all the routes, why did that specific service get cut?
The logic actually becomes pretty clear when you look at the routes. The DC service is what's known in the industry as a thinner route. It's a simple way of saying it just has lower passenger demand compared to their flights into massive hubs like New York or Chicago.
And here it is. This is the clincher, the absolute final piece of the puzzle. The planes needed for that DC route are the Boeing 787s. The exact same planes being taken out of service for the big upgrades, so it just became the most logical candidate for a temporary pause.
Okay, so this all makes sense from a business strategy point of view. But of course, a decision like this has a real-world impact. And that brings us to what's probably the most important question for a lot of you. What happens if you actually had a ticket booked?
Well, the good news is the airline has laid out some very clear options. If you're booked on a flight after September 1st, they're going to contact you directly. You can either choose to rebook through another U.S. hub, or you can just opt for a full refund. Pretty straightforward.
So, look, while that convenient nonstop option is gone for now, the key takeaway is that travelers aren't being left stranded. You've got pathways to get to your destination, or you can just get your money back.
So when you put all the pieces together, this suspension really isn't about a failure. It's a strategic trade-off. It's a calculated business decision. They're sacrificing one route temporarily to protect the reliability and health of their entire network, all while trying to manage a massive long-term investment against a very tough short-term operational reality. And you know, this leaves us with a final, bigger thought to chew on. As airlines all across the globe try to balance these ambitious, expensive upgrades with increasingly unpredictable geopolitics, how is the passenger experience, our experience, going to be redefined in the years to come? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.